Hello everybody, Mr. Akins here and welcome to What's on the Comic Rack. In this video I'm going to show 5 comics. One from the Golden Age, one from the Silver Age, one from the Bronze Age, one from the Copper Age, and a Modern Age comic. Now I've done this series or this type of video before, seemed to get a great response, so I'm going to try to make it a regular feature on my channel showing a comic from all these different ages. Now the comics I'm going to show have different significance. One or two of the comics I'm going to show I actually got from M.O.N Comics. Please check out his channel. He's got some great content. Me and M.O.N Comics have been trading some comics back and forth, and two of the comics I'm going to show are from M.O.N Comics. One of the comics I'm going to show, not necessarily because of the cover, but really because of the significance of what's inside of it. And I've got a representation of a Golden Age comic. I'm also going to talk about a little bit about the cost of these comics, whether it's a 9.8 and those type of things. So let's get to looking at those comics. We're going to start off with a Golden Age representation here, The Vault of Horror number 2. Now this is a reprint of The Vault of Horror number 13. I'll put an image on the screen of the art from the actual Vault of Horror number 13, the original EC comics from the 1950s, so we can do a little bit of art comparison. Now the Vault of Horror number 13 was published in 1950, so it definitely puts it in the Golden Age. Now the cover is done by Johnnycraig. Now what did I learn about Johnnycraig? Well, Johnnycraig illustrated a lot of the covers for this entire run, maybe all of them. He was responsible for the lead story of all of them but issue 13, which is this one right here, and issue number 33. He also wrote almost all his own stories in the Vault of Horror and became the editor in issue number 35 in 1954. Very, very cool signature here. I love the signatures of some people. I love when they're really distinctive. You can just look at it and tell who signed it. What else did I learn about this Golden Age comic? I really didn't know what EC stood for. Now I know that EC stands for Entertaining Comic. I've always loved horror, and I own some horror comics, and if I ever dive into the Golden Age, it would be definitely into pre-code horror genre. I could probably really get into that if I ever dive into getting the Golden Age comics. Let's talk about buying and selling an actual copy of this. Now, looking it up on GoCollect, I found out that there were only 68 universal copies of this book. And I was surprised that 6 of those universal 68 copies were 9.8s. And a 0.5 sold for $140 at auction in January of 2023. And the key issue notes on this was that it was a morphine story. Next we've got Adventure Comics number 356, published in 1967. Silver Age went from 1956 to 1970, so this clearly puts this comic in the Silver Age. First, I would like to thank M.O.N Comics for this book. He's a fantastic guy with an awesome channel. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below. Please check it out. We've been trading some comics back and forth, and he sent me this great Silver Age books. Fits perfectly in this weekly series I'm trying out. Thanks again, M.O.N Comics. Unique feature of this book, and many others at the time, is this black and white checkered border up here at the top. Now I've seen this pattern before in comics, and I started doing some research to remind myself what this pattern is called. It was called a checkerboard stripe or gogocheckers. And after a little bit of research, I reminded myself of what it was there for. I found an interview with Erwin Donefeld, who is credited with creating this design. In the interview, and I'm quoting what he said in the interview, he said, "In those days, comics were on the newsstands with vertical slots for magazines. I wanted to have something that showed DC Comics were different than anything else. I worked it out with Sal Harrison, and we put a checkerboard across the top. So whenever these magazines were displayed, you could see a DC comic from way back. It was to distinguish us from everybody else. So enough with the history lesson. I love Silver Age comics that had this design at the top. So buying and selling this comic, looking it up on GoCollect, there were 68 universal copies of this. 2 were 9.8s. They were selling for around $627. Raw copies you could find around $10 to $12 for this Adventure Comics number 356. I needed a comic published from 1970 to 1985 to fit in the Bronze Age. So M.O.N Comics sent me a Bronze Age comic I can show off. Not Hulk 181, but Hulk 187. Covered by herbtrimpe and written by lenwein. Tried to find some trivia about this comic that could match the Silver Age book M.O.N Comics sent me, but I couldn't. There's about 119 of this comic book on the census, and a 9.8 will run you around $317. I looked at eBay, looked at some raw sold listings, and they range from $5 to $9. Need a comic book published between 1985 and 2000 to fit the Copper Age. And I decided to choose Captain America number 444, published in 1995. Now this comic was written by Mark Waid and drawn by Ron Garney. So you're thinking to yourself, what's so special about this cover? This pic's not really about the cover, but what was inside. Now, Captain America is my second favorite character. I don't think I have shown any Captain America comics so far on my channel, and this was the first one that actually came to my mind, not because of the cover, but because of what it contains inside. It contains one of my favorite quotes about Captain America. Now, in this issue, Captain America has apparently died, and after that, different characters are talking about their feelings about Captain America. And Hercules, the Prince of Power, the son of Zeus himself, has a great quote about Captain America. He says, "On Olympus, we measure wisdom against Athena, speed against Hermes, power against Zeus, but we measure courage against Captain America." I absolutely love that quote. Even the gods respect Captain America. Buying and selling this, no graded copies of this I could find except one. There is a graded CBCS copy, and it's signed by Waid and Garney, and they were asking $170 for this comic. Some raw sold listings on eBay range from $2 to $6. And for my modern age comic, I like to use a recent pickup, and for my modern age comic, Loki number 1. We have here what I consider a stunning artgerm cover of Ladyloki. When I saw this variant on the shelf at my LCS, I had to have it. Loved it so much, I may make it into my top 5 for 2023. This is just a beautiful cover. And this is my choice for my modern age comic. This modern age comic has a sale price of $4.99, so that's what it would be listed on. Certainly hasn't had time to get back from CGC if anybody submitted this to even be on the census. Again, I'd like to thank Brandon at M.O.N Comics for 2 of these on the list and the other surprises in this package he sent me. I will feature other surprises in another video, and until next time, I'll see you around the comic rack.